Did you know that over 1 in 5 areas in England now fall under the most deprived category? And shockingly, some UK cities are collapsing faster than we can rebuild them. We're not talking towns or small villages. Major cities, once full of life and industry, are now turning into ghosts of their former selves. Streets lined with boarded-up shops, crumbling schools and hospitals, entire neighborhoods sinking into poverty and neglect. And the worst part, most people don't even realize it's happening. Behind the glossy headlines and modern city centers, there's a darker reality, a silent collapse that's unfolding in plain sight, but no one's really talking about it. These cities, from once proud industrial giants to seaside icons, are now facing a storm of economic decay, poor infrastructure, and vanishing public services. So what's really happening? Why are some cities in the UK falling apart, while others thrive? And which 10 cities are now seen as the most vulnerable, Stay with us, because in this video, we're revealing the truth about urban decline in the UK, city by city, and the answers may surprise you. Number 10. Wolverhampton. Once a proud centre of engineering and manufacturing in the West Midlands, Wolverhampton was a city built on innovation. But today, it's a city struggling to hold itself together. While parts of the UK enjoy shiny new infrastructure and growing economies, Wolverhampton is facing the opposite. Over the last decade, it has seen some of the worst economic performance in the region, with shrinking business investment, a crumbling high street, and increasing poverty rates. According to official data, over 30% of children here live below the poverty line, one of the highest rates in the country. Walk down the city centre and you'll see the signs. Boarded-up shops, empty office-covered buildings that haven't seen proper maintenance in years. Public transport is underfunded, traffic congestion is worsening, and many council estates are literally falling apart. But what's behind the decline? Experts point to years of underinvestment, the slow collapse of manufacturing, and a lack of long-term regeneration plans that work. Wolverhampton did receive a town deal investment from the government, but many residents say they're still waiting to see real change. This is more than just aging buildings. It's about the social fabric of a city slowly unraveling. And unless major action is taken, Wolverhampton could slip further into the shadows, becoming a case study in what happens when a city is forgotten. So what lies ahead for Wolverhampton? Is revival still possible, or is the damage already done? Stick around, because the next city on our list paints an even more troubling picture. Luton. Just 30 miles north of London, Luton was once a thriving manufacturing town, home to Vauxhall Motors and a key part of Britain's industrial machine. But today, Luton is cracking under pressure. The town has become a commuter hotspot, with thousands moving in every year looking for cheaper housing near the capital. But instead of prosperity, Luton now faces crippling overcrowding, skyrocketing rents, and crumbling infrastructure that simply can't keep up. According to recent reports, Luton ranks among the worst places in the UK for quality of life, with increasing homelessness, traffic chaos, and underfunded public services. Schools are bursting at the seams, roads are riddled with potholes, and many older buildings haven't been renovated in decades. And despite its proximity to London, it remains one of the most deprived areas in the southeast. The gap between rich and poor is widening fast, with luxury apartments rising just streets away from deteriorating estates. Locals often describe the town as a pressure cooker that's reaching its breaking point. While there have been attempts to regenerate parts of the town centre and Luton Airport continues to expand, the benefits haven't trickled down to the people who need it most. Instead, the divide grows. Have you ever been to Luton? Or do you live there? Tell us in the comments what's really going on in your neighbourhood. And if you're finding this video eye-opening, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss more deep dives like this one. Up next, a Welsh town that's dealing with the toxic legacy of heavy industry and barely holding on. Number 8. Neath Port Talbot. There's a certain heaviness in the air when you pass through Neath Port Talbot, a stillness that lingers long after the machines have stopped. This was once the industrial heartbeat of South Wales, with smoke rising from the massive Port Talbot steelworks, ships gliding along the River Afan, and generations of families working proud, hard jobs that built Britain's strength. But now the rust is setting in. The skyline still bristles with factory chimneys, but many of them are quiet. The energy has faded, jobs have vanished, but the scars remain. Unemployment rates are stubborn, mental health issues are rising, and many communities here feel like they've been abandoned by the future. Even the natural beauty of the surrounding hills and coastlines can't hide the erosion of daily life. Poor housing conditions, aging public buildings, and infrastructure that's barely holding up. Air quality here has been repeatedly flagged as among the worst in the UK due to a toxic blend of industrial pollution and traffic congestion. Schools and hospitals are overstretched, local councils, yet year after year the cuts keep coming. There's resilience here, without a doubt. The people of Neath Port Talbot don't give up easily. But there's a quiet question hanging in the air. How long can you hold a place together with grit alone? As we move forward on this list, we head north, where the collapse of a proud pottery industry left behind more than just empty kilns. Number 7. Stoke-on-Trent. There was a time when Stoke-on-Trent was the pride of British craftsmanship, globally known as the Potteries, thanks to its iconic ceramics industry. Wedgwood, Royal Doulton, Spode, names that once echoed through bustling factories and busy town squares. But the kilns have cooled. What remains is a city that's been quietly falling apart for decades. As globalization pulled manufacturing overseas, Stoke's economy, thousands of jobs disappeared, entire streets fell into decline, and what was once a thriving industrial city began to look more like a museum of its own past. In recent years, the decline has only deepened. Council funding has been slashed to the bone. Public services are vanishing. Libraries, leisure centres, and even care facilities have shut down. In 2023, the City Council declared a financial emergency, admitting it could no longer afford to keep basic services running. But it's not just about money, it's about mood. Depression and anxiety rates are among the highest in the UK, particularly among young people, and while community groups are trying to hold things together, the environment around them keeps deteriorating. Graffiti-scarred buildings, neglected parks, and shops that have stood empty for years. Stoke-on-Trent is a living reminder of what happens when a place built for one era is left behind. And while there are efforts to bring in tech and creative industries, the transformation is slow, almost painfully so. What does it mean when a city famous for shaping clay can't seem to reshape itself? The next stop on our list tells a similar story, but this time it's not clay, it's steel, and the damage runs deep. Number 6. Sunderland. Stand by the River Wear, and it's hard not to feel a sense of absence. Once, Sunderland was one of the world's greatest shipbuilding cities, its name etched into steel hulls that sailed every ocean. The riverbanks echoed with hammers, cranes, and the hum of industry. But those sounds have long faded, replaced by a haunting quiet, and a city still trying to recover. The collapse of the shipbuilding industry in the 1980s wasn't just an economic blow, it was a cultural earthquake. Entire communities lost their identity overnight, and Sunderland has struggled to rebuild ever since. While some investment has trickled in, the progress has been uneven at best. Today, parts of the city feel forgotten. 1 in 3 children live in poverty, according to recent statistics. Life expectancy is lower than the national average. Public transport is unreliable, job opportunities are limited, and the high street is lined with shuttered storefronts. Efforts have been made, new developments by the waterfront, an expanding university presence, and a focus on arts and digital sectors. But for many locals, the day-to-day struggle overshadows the long-term vision. Welfare dependency is high, and many young people feel they need to leave to find opportunity. There's pride here. Sunderland's people are known for their resilience and loyalty. But there's also a sense of frustration. How long can you wait for change? Like a step backwards. From a city built on steel, we move now to one where culture and investment once promised hope. Yet the cracks are still showing. Number 5, Dundee. At first glance, Dundee might not seem like it belongs on this list. The waterfront is gleaming, the V&A Museum stands proudly, and headlines have called it Scotland's rising creative capital. But step just a few streets away from the new developments, and a very different Dundee begins to emerge. This is a city of stark contrasts. Regeneration meets neglect, ambition collides with deep-rooted poverty. While Dundee has embraced digital innovation and the arts, many of its residents are still trapped in a cycle of deprivation. According to Scottish government data, Dundee City ranks as one of the most deprived areas in Scotland, with chronic issues and employment. The divide is visible. Wealthier areas enjoy modern housing and thriving businesses. Meanwhile, decaying council estates, overcrowded schools, and struggling NHS services paint a more troubling picture just minutes away. Drug-related deaths in Dundee are among the highest in Europe, a grim reminder of the deep social issues lurking beneath the surface. Despite millions being poured into high-profile projects, locals often ask, who is all this really for? Many feel the regeneration efforts have focused on tourists and investors, not the everyday lives of the people who call Dundee home. It's not that the city hasn't tried, it's that progress feels uneven, like a fresh coat of paint on a building with a crumbling foundation. Dundee is evolving, yes, truly rise if half of it is still falling behind. Next, we turn to a place often labelled the poorest city in the UK, a city where the promise of renewal is still just that. A promise. Number 4, Hull. If you visit Hull, you might be greeted by echoes of ambition. The city was once a powerhouse of shipping, fishing and trade, a maritime giant that helped fuel Britain's global reach. But today, Hull is battling a different tide: economic hardship, urban decay, and social decline that no facelift has fully covered up. In 2017, Hull was named the UK City of Culture, a title meant to spark investment, tourism, and pride. And for a moment it did. The city buzzed with events, headlines, and hope. But what happens when the spotlight fades? Despite the cultural boost, Hull remains one of the poorest cities in the UK. In multiple studies, it ranks near the bottom in income levels, education outcomes, and overall health. Parts of the city are plagued by damp, unsafe housing, especially in older estates where maintenance has been delayed for years. Public transport is patchy, youth unemployment is high, and opportunities can feel just out of reach. Hull's port still functions, and there have been pushes into green energy and offshore wind. But many residents say they haven't felt the benefits. A lack of long-term inclusive planning has meant that while the city's centre might shine a bit brighter, its outer districts remain stuck in the shadows. What's perhaps most heartbreaking is the sense of potential unrealised. Hull has the history, the location and the grit, but without real, consistent investment in its people, not just its image, it risks being remembered more for what it was than what it could be. Next, we head to a city that once thrived on steel, but now faces a battle not just for identity. Number 3, Middlesbrough. There's something haunting about Middlesbrough. The cityscape is dotted with the skeletons of industry, abandoned factories, rusting steelworks, and silent train yards that once pulsed with life. This was the heart of Britain's iron and steel revolution, a place where fortunes were forged and communities thrived. But when the industry fell, it dragged much of the city down with it. Today, Middlesbrough is often ranked as one of the most deprived urban areas in the UK. According to government data, nearly half of its neighbourhoods fall within the bottom 10% of deprivation nationally. That's not just a statistic, it's a day-to-day reality for tens of thousands of people. High unemployment, poor housing, and declining health outcomes define the challenges here. Mental health issues in particular are sharply rising, linked directly to the city's social isolation. In some areas, life expectancy is shockingly low, lower than in parts of Eastern Europe. Efforts to regenerate the town centre have been made, with retail parks, education hubs, and small business schemes. But the shadow of heavy industry looms large, both literally and metaphorically. The South Tees Development Corporation promises a brighter future. But progress has been slow and uneven, and there's a deeper issue, a crisis of identity. What does Middlesbrough become without the industry that once defined it? How do you rebuild pride in a place that's been told, time and again, that its best days are behind it? Middlesbrough isn't just dealing with economic decay, it's facing the emotional weight of decline, harder fix than bricks and mortar. Next, we move to a city that once symbolized the promise of multicultural Britain, and now fights to keep its foundation from cracking. Number 2. Bradford. Bradford is a city of paradoxes. It's one of the youngest and most diverse cities in the UK, with a vibrant cultural mix, a rich industrial past, and enormous potential. But for decades, Bradford has struggled under the weight of inequality, poor infrastructure, and political neglect. And it's starting to show more than ever. The city was once a textile titan, known worldwide for its wool industry. Those mills have long since gone silent, and with them went thousands of jobs. What's been left behind is a city caught between eras. Too modern for its old industries, yet too underfunded to fully evolve into something new. Bradford consistently ranks among the most economically deprived areas in England. Child poverty rates are among the highest in the country. Many schools are under-resourced, health services overstretched, and in crumbling housing stock and outdated public buildings. What makes Bradford's situation even more alarming is the size of its youth population. Nearly a quarter of residents are under 16, yet job opportunities for young people are scarce. Youth unemployment is a major issue, and with it comes a rise in disenfranchisement, crime, and mental health concerns. The city has been named the UK City of Culture for 2025, which could spark meaningful change. But residents have heard promises before. The challenge is turning celebration into transformation. Bradford's diversity is its strength, and its people are some of the most resilient in the UK. But without urgent, large-scale investment, the city risks becoming a cautionary tale of potential unfulfilled. And finally, we arrive at the number 1 city on our list. A seaside town once full of joy and holidaymakers, now facing a crisis. Number 1. Blackpool. Once the crown jewel of the British seaside, Blackpool welcomed millions every summer, drawn to its bright lights, iconic tower, and buzzing piers. It was a town built on fun, freedom, and escape. But today, Blackpool tells a far grimmer story. Behind the neon signs and nostalgic rides lies one of the most deprived communities in the entire UK. In fact, according to the government's Index of Multiple Deprivation, Blackpool consistently ranks as the number 1 most deprived local authority in England. And the issues run deep. The collapse of traditional seaside tourism, hit by cheap flights, changing tastes, and economic shifts, left Blackpool scrambling. Hotels closed, businesses folded, and unemployment soared. Many of the old B&Bs were converted into substandard housing, accommodation, or by landlords chasing government subsidies. This has created pockets of severe poverty, crime, and addiction, especially in the once vibrant central areas. Health outcomes in Blackpool are among the worst in the country. Life expectancy here is shockingly low, and mental health issues, particularly among young people, are rampant. Schools struggle with funding, social services are overwhelmed, and entire communities feel abandoned. Despite regeneration efforts like the tram upgrade and new attractions, they've done little to lift the town's most vulnerable. Locals often say it feels like the problems are just being painted over, not solved. Blackpool is more than just faded glamour. It's a symbol of what happens when a town built on dreams is left to deal with reality. And while its iconic tower still stands tall, many of the structures around it, both physical and social, are crumbling before our eyes. Urban decay isn't just bricks and broken streets. It's lives, stories, and futures at stake. Which city do you think is being overlooked the most? Drop your thoughts below. We read every comment. And if this opened your eyes, check out our pre-told truths about Britain's changing cities. We pour our hearts into every video, so if you found this valuable, please support us with a quick subscribe. It's just one click, but it means the world to us.